Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 7th to the 13th of March 2016. So last week we were working with the axis of Virgo and Pisces as we were coming out of the Virgo full moon and balancing those hemispheres, so reason versus intuition. And also we took a look at a couple of very tough days, Tuesday, Wednesday, where possibly the inner victim was coming up for cleansing, and the realisation that we're not separate, struggling, small and alone, to dissolve back into the all, to become our bigger, more magnificent selves. That was very much the key lessons of last week, which then ended up being incredibly intuitive. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, very, very intuitive, and Mercury passed into Pisces. So Mercury is our processing mind. It's where we draw down thoughts, process them and turn them into words and actions. So in this way, from above so below, from one form to another, just like the substance of Mercury changes from liquid to solid, it's the manifester, it's the magician in tarot. So for a couple of weeks now we'll have Mercury in Pisces, where we can tune into the etheric realms and where we can see beyond the veils, because Pisces is very much about the 95%. Our eyes and ears and physical senses account for about 5% of what's going on around us, and everything else is happening in the 95%. So Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's where we come from before we're born, where we go to when we pass on, and where we go to in sleep and deep altered brainwave states. So lots of energy in Pisces this week as we have a new moon eclipse coming up, as well as Mercury meeting Neptune, and by the end of the week we also have Venus going into Pisces. So although we're still working across the axis, because Pisces is part Virgo and vice versa, there are yin-yang opposites rather than warring opposites. We did a lot of the calibration work last week, and we should be able to feel that inner balance, whether we're too left-brained or too right-brained, and where our dualistic thought processes were causing conflict rather than resolution. So this week it's all about resolution. There's a great feeling of reconciliation, coming back together after things were necessarily broken down through those tough aspects last week, so that we could get to the core truth and we could see where we'd built up illusions and delusions that weren't going to support us going forwards. So we've got back to that inner child, we've got back to that purity hopefully, and this week we can just be still within that space. Especially by Tuesday, because we have the dark moon in Pisces preceding the new moon eclipse in Pisces the following day. So this is a week to go really, really deep at the beginning of the week, because Pisces isn't just another sign, it's the last sign of the zodiac. And as we spoke about the leap year, we need to get lighter in order to be able to leap up and return to our pure essence before we can start a new cycle. That's Pisces. One fish looks backwards and sums up everything that's gone on. Let go of any tension, any friction, any resentment. Realises the awareness of what needs to come forward without dragging all the baggage forwards, and then lets go in that simple space to be purified and prepared for a whole new fresh cycle. So on Tuesday, the dark moon in Pisces, from the chart it looks like we can have a look at fears about money and love. Money and love are connected in astrology by the second house, which is all about our values and our valuables, but based on self-esteem, deserving and being able to receive. So if your self-esteem says I don't deserve, then you put a block on something that would naturally be flowing to you, and we tend to experience that most in our lives through money and love. So maybe on Tuesday go deep, have a look at where you're blocking, where you may not have a deserving. So with all the best affirmations and intentions in the world, if your inner self says I don't deserve to receive, then there's going to be a block there somewhere. And deserving and self-esteem is all based on this separation module, which is part of Pisces, to realise that we're not separate, we're in the flow, we're in the deep ocean, we're part of everything. So the dark moon can be worked with to release all of that, to meditate into the interconnectedness of everything, to let go of the fears, to let go of the separation and the self-protection, in order that we can be in effortless, loving, accepting, receiving. By Wednesday, the 9th of March, we have a new moon at 18 degrees Pisces, and this is a total solar eclipse. So 18 degrees is the number of the moon card in tarot, and the moon card aligns to the sign of Pisces, so we have a full circle here. 1 and 8 of the 18 adds up to 9, and it's the 9th of March. And 9 is the number of the moon as well when it comes to devotional service, because there were often 9 priestesses in the ancient temples, and that in itself is a number of completion. So we have some very sacred, lunar, Piscean, devotional, divine, feminine energy coming in with this new moon. But as it's a total eclipse, which is visible, I believe, in Indonesia and those parts, we need to be still, because when we have an eclipse and when one body gets in the way of another one in the solar system, then that can suddenly change the electromagnetic frequencies that are coming down to us on the earth plane. So it's always best to be still, to be quiet, to just observe. And this eclipse is at 1:55 a.m, so that's good, because hopefully we'll be in the dream realms by then. But for anybody that keeps a dream diary, then Tuesday night, 1:55 a.m, may well be a time to receive messages. These messages will be coming from the subconscious and the unconscious, both personal and collective. So very, very deeply beyond the veils, in the far reaches, in the other 95%, then this is where the energy is happening. So it may be so subtle that we miss it at first, but then the message unfolds in a reality later on. But connecting with that deep, listening, being still, listening to intuition, and finding that simple inner gold, that devotional higher service, rather than the separate self struggling, clearing away delusions and illusions that we've built up for fantasy or self-protection. This is very much the message that this moon will be delivering in one way or another, depending on where it falls in your chart. By Thursday we have Mercury and Neptune meeting. So we had the Sun meeting Neptune recently, now it's Mercury's turn. If the Sun has gone and cleansed and opened those channels, then we should be a clear channel to receive Mercury's inspiration. So another day to be still, but possibly to actually take notes, because whatever happened on the solar eclipse may well deliver its message now as we channel in with the two channel planets really. Mercury is the antenna and Neptune is the tuning fork, so if they're in alignment, then we're perfectly aligned to receive from our antennae and bring down into the physical realm. This is a great practice for the mind really. The mind is now being given a job to do, which is to listen and to tune in and to deliver, rather than to think and create man-made problems. So there's a great deal of mental work that can be done here if we can quiet the mind, focus on the heart, and just tune into that Neptunian soul coherence. So keeping the mind still, but just giving it the job to do, to go and effortlessly bring us the messages, would be a good practice on Thursday. By Friday I feel that we can burn brightly. We've cleansed so much, we've got rid of lots of debris, we've wrung ourselves out, and it's just a day to focus on the heart and love and the inner fire. So a very, very simple looking day by Friday. By the weekend Venus moves into Pisces. So Venus in Pisces shows us how to value the spiritual side of ourselves, the soul side of ourselves, our intuition, our connectivity, and to be in that flow of abundance and receiving. There's a dissolving aspect to all of this Piscean energy, where we can let go of the past, where we can let go of the blocks, where we can heal any wounds by actually visiting them and seeing if we've created them from a victim stance, and dissolve any frustrations or friction that we have with others. So like I say, this is a week for resolution and reconnection on a cleaner, higher vibrational level, after we've allowed all of this Pisces energy to rinse off anything that we don't want to take forward. So very deep, very spiritual, evocative and soulful week. Not really a very active one, but just stay centered, stay coherent, and stay in tune with your intuition, because by next week that's when we can start moving forwards and getting ready towards the spring equinox. So those are the horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week. For anybody studying their own chart, you would be at an advantage to have a look at where Pisces falls, and when I say where, I mean which house. So in my online group we're discussing the house system and how you can apply that to your personal chart so that you can actually see which section of your life this is able to be harnessed in. So have a look at which house Pisces falls in and any natal planets there that may be triggered, especially by the 18 degrees mark of the new moon total solar eclipse in Pisces. If you'd like to join the group, then we do have many discussions, new threads going on daily, and a lovely warm space of honour. So it's a beautiful subscription for the year. It's cheaper than the price of a reading, so for a whole year you get to walk with your own personal astrologer, with your own astrology teacher, and actually explore some of these subjects and surrounding practices as well. So that's my online group. You're very welcome to come and join us there. If you're more private, then I'm available for one-to-one readings on Skype or in person. And if you'd like to study on your own, then please do take a look at some of my online courses. I have astrology, tarot, feng shui, working with the elements, working with the moon cycles, and they're all a notes and video format that you can then feed back to me and ask questions afterwards. So that's what I've got to offer. You're very welcome to come and join me in any of those. zoehine7@gmail.com.